Today we'll talk about something that has been bugging me for a while. The flop of a lot of non-franchise movies are bombing at the box office. I know the box office is recovering, but the only real success for non-franchise films is Free Guy. Yep, that's it. And if we get out of top 20 outside of Chinese movies, top 30, top 50, we have further down the list Old, Rapper Man, and Enchanto by Disney. But Enchanto is made by Disney, so they can't really count Disney movies, as most Disney movies are made by Disney and have the Disney brand recognition. And basically, they try to put new princess films and stuff like that, anyways. Nobody further down the line, Ron's Gone Wrong, In the Heights, and then we have movies like Fivo, Ruka, House of Gucci, Nomadland, Malignant, Respect, and a lot of, these movies here. But why is this happening? A lot of these non-franchise movies are not really doing too well. And no, we're not going to talk about movies like Vivo and Ruka and The Tomorrow War, which mostly released exclusively on streaming services. But movies like The Tomorrow War sort of released in theaters. But I think that releasing a non-franchise movie in the theaters when the box office is recovering is a huge gamble. Number one, you don't have the name recognition. For example, let's compare The Last Duel versus, of course, Halloween. Okay, both movies were released on the same day at the box office, and The Last Duel basically became forgotten because nobody cared. And of course, the director of the movie blamed millennials for the movie bombing. But I think there was something else besides blaming millennials and blaming the woke for a movie bombing. And we can compare it to Halloween, the other movie that was released in the same week. Week as well. Well, Halloween Kills. This is the comparison between a franchise film and a non-franchise film. Yes, Halloween Kills did abysmally in terms of legs, but it did far better worldwide and domestically compared to The Last Duel. This movie did far better. We can of course include a movie like Dune, which is based off a book. Which also is getting a sequel. This is Dune versus a franchise non-franchise movies. We include many non-franchise movies as well. Movies like King Richard bombing at the box office as well. And the only real success for non-franchise films is Free Guy. Yep, this movie. Free Guy is the only real success for non-franchise movies. Free Guy isn't really based off any other movie, isn't really based off anything previous, but Free Guy still relied on big internet online personalities to push the movie. So even then, Free Guy still relied on YouTube channels of millions of subscribers to tell him to go see this movie because we're in this type of thing. So, and for a while there, movies just weren't doing well at all. For example, during July and August. But other than that, if you look at week after week, you can see a comparison here. House of Gucci, Enchanto, and of course Resident Evil, again, another Resident Evil movie that no one asked for, but here we go. Ghost vs. Afterlife versus King Richard. Which one is the box office? Which one is this box office success and which one's a failure? King Richard failed at the box office. This. Okay. Eternals and Spencer. Spencer bombed at the box office. Again, they're trying to get hope on the Oscars. Atlas and Last Night in Soho infamously bombed at the box office. Then they competed with Dune. Uh, Ron's Gone Wrong didn't really do too well. It really did Gone Wrong. The Last Duel, aforementioned. And of course, The Maid Saints of Newark versus Addams Family 2 and Venom 2. So, I think, and of course, we have the sewer frogs like Deal Ethan Henson, Cry Macho, Cop Sop, The Eyes of Tammy Faye, Malignant, and The Cloud Counter, and And of course, we can go further back with movies like The Proceed, reminiscent in the Night House bombing at the box office. This is just proof that just non-franchise movies that are mostly just bombing now. Most movies based on franchise either do really well or almost not bomb. It is a case of a lot of these movies as well. And I don't really see much hope in movies like Nightmare Alley, which are coming out later this month. Movies like A Journal for Jordan, they're probably not going to do that well at the box office compared to The Matrix, Sing 2, and of course The Kingsman and Spider-Man No Way Home. Because those movies are exclusively part of franchises. So they already had that name recognition. And I think that's the real reason why the movie The Last Duel bombed. Not because of millennials, not because of wokeness, because it wasn't a part of a movie franchise during a box office recovery, which is basically every tool needed for a movie to bomb at the box office. If a movie doesn't have name recognition, people are not gonna go for the not movie without name recognition. And of course, millennials love movie franchises. They are going to go gravitate towards a movie that is definitely much more safer to watch than a movie that is not based off any existing movie franchise and taking a risk of a movie that is not known or not well known among the audience. It is a movie, so therefore you can't really have massive movies that come out that make $20 to $50 million and compete with the bigger movie that said, "Oh, we're part free to this franchise. Watch us instead." And I think that's the real reason why this movie bombed. Not because of wokeness, it is because it was not a part of a movie franchise. And I think not even the director of this movie, Ridley Scott, got that either. It was not a part of a series. It was not a part of a movie series. People went to go see the safer options like No Time to Die, Venom Let There Be Carnage, Dune, and Halloween Kills, and later on The Eternals and Ghostbusters Afterlife, not The Last Duel. And for example, Enchanto is a non-franchise movie, but is a part of Disney's franchise, and Disney's animated films are technically their own franchise at this point. So, other than that exception, which is Disney Animation, which usually puts out new non-franchise movies, other than that, The Last Duel, the reason why it bombed was because it wasn't a part of a movie franchise. It wasn't a part 2 or a reboot or a remake of an older movie or a long-awaited sequel of a part of a greater movie cinematic universe. So other than that, that's the real reason why the movie flopped. It was not because of wokeness, like the fandom has always tried to claim, because that's what they always do. When a movie that they don't like fails, even though The Last Duel was received well by everybody who watched it, they said, fans didn't like this movie, we won because we're the best. I think the other reason why this movie flopped was because of the fandom as a small part, but I think it's because this movie had no name recognition. Yes, it had big stars in it, but who really cares if it didn't really have any name recognition compared to Ghostbusters, compared to James Bond, compared to Marvel, okay? And we saw this in 2019's box office as well. Anna vs. Toy Story 4. Well, of course, we all know Toy Story 4 beat Anna at the box office because Toy Story 4 is, again, a part of a franchise. I said movie companies should try to, dethrone Disney, but it really isn't going to work. We have seen examples from this year alone. It doesn't work. It's not just Disney movies as well. For example, King Richard vs. Ghostbusters Afterlife. Which movie would audiences rather see? Oh, of course, Ghostbusters, not King Richard. Nobody gives a shit about King Richard. He's a boring king anyways. Why would you want to watch that? We can watch Ghostbusters. And yes, Free Guy did pretty well, but again, Free Guy wasn't really competing with anything. It was competing with the Suicide Squad, which was always doing abysmally as it was. So Free Guy did pretty well at the box office because of this. But this is why the tale of non-franchise movies of this year. I do hope that non-franchise movies and movies that are not really based off any franchise do better next year. I really want to see that big surprise, like no, like Knives Out again. I didn't really like Knives Out that much, but it was a pretty big surprise that it was one of the few movies that wasn't a part of anything that did pretty well. Well, not a part of a movie franchise. And for example, Joker is still part of DC universe character, still part of DC franchise. And yeah, I really hope that more movies do better that are not from a movie franchise next year. Movies that really show the innovation and creativity in Hollywood. It's not just The Last Duel either, or what of non-franchise movies that flop and become forgotten. And thus exist. So, yep, there we go about the non-franchise movies. What happened to them this year? Well, number one, it is very hard to sell a non-franchise movie when, the box office is recovering. And even then, some franchise movies failed. Resident Evil Welcome to Raccoon City could ring a bell for you, but even then, it's having better ratings than the Santo, which is no surprise. The opposing of the Disney brand, essentially. So, Resident Evil Welcome to Raccoon City is still having better ratings than the Santo. Goodbye.